Ape Coin could be about to see a devastating plunge towards the downside because of potential sell pressure that's about to come in from something very, very huge that's just happened. Now, Ape Coin is actually well positioned, given what it's basically there to do. Now, moving into this year, we're going to see a huge expansion in Web3 development and much around this. And Ape Coin supports this development really well, and I think anything within those particular niches is going to do really well. I've also talked about in the past, like Mana Decentraland, Sandbox, etc., which will definitely see massive growth as well going into the future. But because of the way that Ape Coin kind of got incepted into crypto, is what has me with a lot of concern. Now, before we look at the charts for Ape Coin, I want to look at what's been going on here. We can see that address 0x4BE5 transferred 463,163 Ape coins worth 2.36 million to Binance just 20 minutes ago. And it is kind of becoming more obvious that more and more big wallets are starting to transfer Ape Coin back onto exchanges, which could indicate that they are about to start selling them off in lieu of other tokens. Now, I want you to consider how ApeCoin basically came about. Now, anyone who owned a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, which is like the original NFT, basically had a huge airdrop on the launch of this new token, which is obviously very exciting for everyone who held a Bored Ape Yacht Club, but most people held onto those tokens. And because of the kind of the history behind the Bored Ape Yacht Club and everything else, ApeCoin became very popular very quickly and lots of people drove up that market cap. However, recently the Ape Coin team basically proposed a way of increasing token accumulation and reducing unauthorized sales via unofficial channels. In order for this, they were going to create a different type of capsules, including stickers, patches, blah blah blah, in order to keep people holding onto their tokens. However, this was rejected by the majority of the shareholders, and because of this, you then get a bit of fear that maybe some of those large shareholders are going to sell, and if there's a bit of fear going around, then maybe other ones will get on board too, and this could potentially drop the price very, very fast. If we jump across to the Ape Coin chart itself, we also have something a little bit alarming happening. Now, we have seen a bit of a rally in the Ape Coin price, along with the rest of crypto really, since basically the start of January, where we've seen kind of pushes at one point almost up 87%, currently only sat though 45% above that. However, what we can see on this chart right now is something quite alarming. Now, basically what happens in a big rally like this is every time it's kind of pushing up, you get more people starting to sell and less people prepared to buy. It's like anything, less people are going to buy something that's more expensive than when it's cheap. And on the flip side, more people want to sell something when it's expensive than when it's cheap. Okay, so what we tend to do is we tend to get weaker and weaker and weaker, and these patterns, which are like parabolic patterns, tend to break beyond that. And then they form these patterns which show that we're at the top. And these patterns are kind of exhaustion patterns, and they come in a range of different shapes and sizes. And this one here, we have a shoulder, a head, and another shoulder. Okay, typically the first shoulder should really be in line with this one up here, and we should roughly have a neckline across here. Obviously we have dip below it there, but we'd say that this is probably our neckline, sat at $4.83, which from current levels is probably just another kind of like 4 or so percent. However, if we are to breach this neckline, then we will take a technical target, which will be from the height of the head down to the neckline, and we'll drop it down there, and that will bring the price crashing down from current levels to around 36% down, and that would see us maybe finding support in this area. Now, it is actually also very interesting to see, and if we want to look at accumulation zones and how accumulation zones work, when we see big pushes towards the upside like this, we do tend to take a bit of a cool off and a bit of a pull back. And you can see that this move started from here. We saw the big push coming here. And actually the big push itself was these 3 candles. You can see these 3 big black candles here, and that is where we take our box from. In fact, the candlestick before, the little white candlestick, we then draw our box across. Now, you can see that the first time we get into this, it comes down, it wicks up, the price is then brought up again, and it continues towards the upside. But typically we do take revisits to buy zones, and as you can see, given the height of this pattern down towards the neckline, if we take the bottom of the neckline and we drop it to here to a potential fallback position, then a lot of things are lining up very, very nicely here. Now, this is not necessarily disastrous, it's just an opportunity for us to potentially gather some new tokens. You can see as well, we had this kind of like falling wedge before, we came away from it and we broke back up above it. Now you could say that we are probably just going to come back and retest this zone up here. So we then have a nice opportunity if we swing back in here to maybe get a short on for 34% drop towards the downside, but we definitely have opportunities to load up on spot, because right now the difference of loading up on spot here and seeing us back to these all-time highs, you're looking at 426%. But if we wait and we can get in around this blue box level down here, then you've got an opportunity at making a 7.5x, which is significantly bigger. So how do we wait for this? How are we getting excited about this? Well guys, we don't need to be impatient at all in this. We know roughly where the neckline is, then we need to pay more attention to it. But if we're looking for potential just buys one day, I can just add an alert here and I can just say what I think is going to happen when it gets down to here, and I can just type in buy Ape Coin, click on create, and that's just going to sit there waiting for it to hit. And then at some point, potentially in the future, I'll get notified when it hits that level. If it never hits that level, then I never buy Ape Coin. Easy enough. There's plenty of other coins about, and yes, potentially you can buy Ape Coin right now and make good gains. But one thing to be cautious of, we do need to see a break below these kind of solid lows here. Otherwise, you could say that maybe the buy zone we looked at down here actually exists a bit higher up, and that we are just looking to confirm that buy zone. So unless we're getting a break down and bouncing in before continuing, which is where I would take my short, then I'm not going to go short, okay? Because sometimes we just get like that and we push back up. Okay, so we need to pay attention to the breakdown and then the retest of previous resistance. And trading can be difficult, I get it guys. If you are new to trading, you don't understand how it all works, well don't worry, you can still make money in crypto markets by copying other people's trades. And you can go over to fairdesk.com, which is linked down below in the description, and you can follow some of these traders who have made insane gains in just the last week alone. This guy's made $28,000 for his 25 followers in just the last 7 days. And you can see various other traders as well who've been making money for their followers. They've also got a really nice tidy spot trading platform, very easy to use, where you're paying such little fees that you won't even notice them. As well as that, if you go through the link down below guys, you can also qualify for a bonus. If you enjoyed today's video and you found it useful, then hit that thumbs up for me. If you're new to the channel and you're not yet in my Telegram as well, then get my Telegram link down below in the description in order to be updated with this as it happens. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you in the next one, bye bye.